Welcome back to the knife studio. Fluting the handle is only like one stage of what we have to do on this handle. After all the fluting's done, I still have to finish the flutes out, and that's going to be a lot of work because they're going to be really, really rough from the texture the file leaves on them. So I'm going to go in with the Scotch-Brite wheel on the buffer and kind of shape it to the same shape as these flutes and try to use that to clean up the flutes and hopefully save many, many hours of hand sanding. The 3M unitized Scotch-Brite wheel ends up working really well to clean up the flutes. Then the real challenge came when I started buffing the handle. I buffed the tar out of the handle with the coarse buffing wheel and coarse compound, and then I was able to move up to some finer stuff and eventually get it all just absolutely super, super shiny, and it looks really good. We also need to go to the end of the handle with the high-speed dental burr under the microscope and make some little tiny notches on the end of the handle so the gold wire, when I put it in the flutes, will have somewhere to go on the end of the handle. And we'll also use the burr to make a little hole going into the tang area so we can stick the wire in through that hole and hook it onto the material inside the tang slot. Once all that's done, we can move on to twisting the gold wire and getting the gold put into the handle. Now that you're all caught up, let's move on to twisting this 24 karat gold wire. Going in for take 2 on twisting this gold wire. The first time I didn't have the gold annealed because I thought I wanted it a little more springy this time. Well, it was so springy it didn't twist very well, so I took it apart and annealed it, and now we're dead soft. So fragile that I'm a little scared of it breaking. I normally like to go for a nice tight twist. It looks like little beads of liquid running down the wire when it's spinning. I'm going to keep it tight, but not too tight. If you pull it too tight, it'll probably break off right here or break off down there. So by tight, I mean you just want to keep a little tension on it, not let it hang down. So as I twisted, it was getting longer and longer, like the drill was all the way back here. But then after it started getting tight, now it's pulling the drill back in and it's getting shorter. We're getting real close. Normally if you keep a little tension on the wire, it has a tendency of keeping itself equally twisted all the way through, which is really important because we don't want the different wires through the handle looking like they're different amounts of twist to them. You have a little look-see down the piece. It's looking really good. Maybe the first half inch there, just twisted a little different. Maybe a little bit more. I always like to go until I'm right on the verge of breaking something and or breaking something. It's always most beautiful right before it's broke. I'm pretty sure it's probably about ready to break off right here. See how that looks on this size of a handle. Yeah, I think we're there. This is a pretty tight twist, but it's a really fine, thin wire, so I think that'll add a nice sparkle to this black. Man, this is pretty.
This is beautiful. Kyle's gonna do the limbo under gold. How does this song go?
I don't know, but I'll do the limbo under this gold
Don't
wire.
hurt yourself though. I'm gonna
But I might catch on this and the drill will fall down and mess up the wire, and I'll have to buy a new many $100 wire for the
if this doesn't work, and if you hurt
thing.
yourself, I'm gonna be so upset.
I'm not very flexible.
Wait, can you do this without hurting yourself? I shouldn't have said it.
Mom, I can't even go that low.
Oh, I can do it.
Yay!
Watch your nose there. Whoa.
Awesome.
My hat sticks up. That was my head. Nailed it.
The next day.
Paint everywhere. Let's see if that did anything. This nozzle is plugged, and 150 pounds of air pressure won't even get it out. Completely plugged.
You drill a hole?
Not a bad idea. Yeah, let's try that. It might be a bad idea, we'll see. I don't need it to spray out in a certain manner, I just need it to be able to spray out. Put a Q-tip down. There. There's a hole in there. Now we can see if this even has pressure in it, which I don't know. Oh. Yep, it has pressure. Alright, now we can move forward with life. Trying to clean out my maker's mark, get all the buffing compound and stuff out of there, and we're gonna darken it up with a little paint. It's really deep, so it's not like it's gonna rub out later. I would only do this in something where it's really deep, otherwise the paint could rub off, but it shouldn't be a problem at all. I'm gonna get the buffing compound out of there though, because the paint won't stick to that very well. The mark looks really good even if it's not dark. All that work getting that thing to spray, just so we could put a little on a Q-tip. Sometimes it really does pay to spend money on something. I spent the most money I've ever spent on a buffing wheel and got this $25 wheel from Rio Grande and some like $10 or $15 compound. And it's just this little tiny piece of compound. It paid off. Right away, as soon as I started to use the wheel, I noticed it was just different than my other wheels. When I used the rake on it, the wheel rake, there was like big pieces coming off and it was just, it felt completely different, like the resistance and everything. I used it on this piece of fitting, and it's got the best mirror finish I've ever done on a piece of stainless steel before. Let that set up a little bit more and then start cleaning it off. I need to go get a clean piece of paper to do this. We don't want a piece of paper that's been laying around in the shop that's got like grit on it, you know. So I'll look for a clean piece in a notepad maybe. Maybe Dad's got one over here. So you definitely wouldn't want to use this top piece because it's covered in dirt and grimy grit, so it would like scratch our part. Yeah, this buffing wheel, it was amazing. I can't wait to try it on the rest of the fittings and see if I can get some really nice mirror finish. Little tiny buffing compound. Super expensive for how big it is. You can see on the ground there's like these long strands of like hairs that came off of it instead of like the really fine powdery dust that normally comes off when I use the wheel rake on it. The reason I'm using paper to clean this off, this is the way I darken some of my engraving and stuff too. And to get the paint off, we just want to get it off the surface. We don't want it to get off down in the bottom of the maker's mark. So if you use a paper towel, it's kind of soft and spongy, and those little fibers will clean it off down in there, and you'll remove the paint where you don't want to. But the paper is nice and flat, so it'll just remove the paint off the surface. At least that's the idea. You gotta have just the right amount of acetone too. You don't want too much or too little. Got the majority of the paint off there. Now I'm just gonna clean up the rest of the part real carefully. Get the rest of that residue. The paper doesn't quite get all the residue off. I'm not happy with the way it's looking, so I think I'm gonna go with more of the buffed, cleaned out look. It's just not darkening up the way I want. So I'm gonna go buff it again and then just clean it out really well. I think we'll go with that look on this one. Something else I could do to darken it up is to texture it. It could go in with the engraver and a stippling tool and texture down in the bottom of all the letters, and that would kind of darken it up as well, but I think I'm just gonna go with that clean, buffed look, just because I'm not really liking the way it darkened it up pretty well, but I'm just not caring for it as I liked it better before. So you can go backwards a step and go back to the way it was. Man, that buffing wheel is amazing. Yeah, I'm really liking the way that looks. This part is finished. The handle is finished. So we just need to keep getting more parts finished up here. Super shiny. I want to see how that buffing wheel does on these other parts. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye!